That one. Sorry. Sorry.
It's like third time's the charm.
Sorry about that. We were having technical difficulties with USPS sending stuff to TFF. If you're at the hotel, I hope you guys have a fantastic con and everything. If you got stuff sent over there, just keep an eye on your USPS packages because it looks like they're having a lot of issues with the people working there and nothing is getting delivered, which is kind of the big issue that we were dealing with currently.
It's a bit of a shame because, people want their suits and they want to have a good time with them, but their USPS is like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like, I guess we're not going to get anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why we wanted to start this a lot earlier, but that was kind of like the issue with that. But
exactly. So today is going to be a very special episode for me because we are going to be talking about video games, and I personally love video games. I play video games just about every single day, so I have pretty good knowledge when it comes into just games in general. But before I start, first and foremost is I want to say thank you guys for your patience when it comes into waiting in the stream. But we're getting things sorted out, and now, and the other thing that I want to say really quickly is I just started my Twitter account, Jesse the Wolf, and it's
but you have to tell them what's your @.
Oh, my handler is it's Jesse. So if you guys haven't followed me, I would love some follow backs, and I'll be able to follow you as well. So I appreciate you guys. Now,
let's see. I'm gonna write it. It's it's Jesse.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. I guess it's a little weird when you have to say it out loud.
Exactly. And also, Moto Dog, I was talking to you for a little bit. You said that you grew up on the Mega Drive, NES, SNES, but you agree that the N64 is one of the best. I will agree with you on that too. GoldenEye is, as you said, a 4-way deathmatch on GoldenEye is some of those moments that you will never forget for the rest of your life. But if you play Odd Job, you're one of those guys. We don't like that here in this household. But before I go on a massive rant about video games, I would like to start off with my sister and her origins with how she started playing games.
So I wanted to kind of pass this stream more towards my brother because I feel like in a lot of the other streams I've been pretty much taking it over,
which is fine,
and which I guess is okay. But we wanted to talk about just video games in general and pretty much where we started with them and whatnot. So
exactly.
So I'm gonna go back way back in the day, back when I used to play Atari and old school kind of games, and I was never a huge fan when I started this stuff because I wanted to just be outside. And when we were playing Pong and any of those games, they were okay for a little bit, but it wasn't I got to spend my entire Saturday playing that game because it was, I don't know, it was kind of boring.
I got you.
For me.
Different stuff for different folks.
So it's some people were super addicted to it, and I just thought that was kind of boring. And then it took a little while before I really got into games, and the first console that I got was a Nintendo. And Dad had come to the States because we did not live in the States. We lived in South America. And a lot of these consoles were not easy to find.
No.
They're very expensive. So you could buy them here in the States. And my parents would come during the summer. And then they would bring stuff back.
Exactly.
Especially when we couldn't come. And Dad surprised me with a Nintendo. Put it in my room. And I think I played it for a week.
A solid week.
And that was it. So it was weird because the Nintendo never really stuck with me. The one that I really, really played was the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went from there because the Nintendo was okay. It's just it wasn't there for me with a lot of the games.
I feel like with the NES has its charm. However, I feel like you would have to have been born in the early 80s to really take appreciation to the NES in its glory days, because think about it, it was 1985 that the NES came out.
Yeah.
So if I was, let's say for example, if I was born in 1980 where the Atari was still reigning supreme, come 1985 I'd be 5 years old, so it would be the transition between Atari to NES. So that would be something that'd be kind of interesting for me, and it would be wow, the NES is fantastic, but I'm in the same boat with you when it comes down to the NES. Now for me, gaming is special. It is an art form for me. I love it with all of my heart, and here's the reason why. I grew up in Colombia for the first 9 years of my life. And throughout those years, unfortunately, with Colombia, it is a third world country. It's a wonderful country, though the only caveat is there's a lot of terrorism over there. Our parents didn't want us to be going outside all the time, especially because, the kidnappings and like stuff like that. So for us to be occupied in the house, they wanted us to have something we could play with. And that's the reason why they got video games. You got the NES first.
Yeah.
And once again, she was like, okay. Oh, hey, the wolf. Hi. So she didn't really play much of the NES, so we kind of overtook the NES by around age 3. I think it's what I could remember. Like age 3, tops 4 is when we started playing video games. And I don't know if the stream knows this, but I am an identical triplet.
Yep.
So for me, I have 2 brothers that I always hang out with and do everything together. And one of the things that we always enjoyed doing together was playing video games. So for us, we started playing the NES, although since we were so young, we didn't really know what to expect. I mean, we did play Mario, and it was good, but it was really tricky for us. However, as we turned 5 or 6 years old, we got the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And once we got the Super Nintendo, and mind you, the Super Nintendo was released in 1991 in the Americas. So at that time, it was like the bee's knees. Everybody was playing the Super Nintendo, and that blew our mind.
Because I didn't get a Super Nintendo for myself.
No.
It was you guys got one.
Exactly.
And then I was like, wow, this is actually pretty fun. Because we had it in that guest room. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like in the guest room that was between like our room. So it was a guest room, and then it was my room, and then it was like the room where you guys are all together.
Exactly.
And then we'd go and sit in there before you guys had like more than one. And we'd go and play in there, and it was fine, and it was really fun. It's like we really liked it, and that's when I really started liking the type of player games, like all the Mario games, the side scroller games, and that's still pretty much my favorite because I grew up with those games, and those are the games that actually like I got really into. And Super Nintendo had like really good games, like a lot of games, so it was easy for me to stick to. But during that time, I also started to find out that I was more of a mobile gamer than I was a person that would sit in front of a console.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying but this is before I got the Super Nintendo. I had a Game Boy, like the big, thick, chunky Game Boy, where you could barely see unless you were like under like full light. It took way too many batteries.
4 AA batteries.
No, did that take 4? I thought it was 6.
Actually, it was 4. It was no, the Game Gear was 8.
The Game Gear, because we had the Game Gear too, and it was.
Yeah, Moto Dog. We're talking about that just now with the handhelds. Yeah. But yeah.
So it's like I had the Nintendo. I mean the Game Boy, and then the Game Boy I used it till I pretty much killed it, and then I ended up getting I think it was the Pocket that came after. It was a black and white Pocket.
Yeah, it was a Game Boy Pocket that came out afterwards.
Oh yeah, because you could adjust how much like darkness was in it. That was like the adjustment.
It was the contrast.
Yeah, exactly. You could adjust it. And I always had a warm light with me so I could play it at night because I knew that the Nintendo one, the Game Boy one, had this like magnifying thing with a light thingy on the side.
It was like a huge light on the side, but even then it wasn't really good at illuminating it.
No, it was terrible.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
And the magnifying glass hurt your eyes after playing it for like 10 minutes.
No,
You're like, what's going on here?
I wasn't a huge fan of that. So playing the Game Boy itself was kind of tough, so I only played a couple of things. But when I got the Game Boy Pocket, I got it, and I took that thing everywhere I went, because I even took it like to Europe when I went overseas, and it was a really good device because the batteries, that one took 2. I think it was 2 batteries.
Yeah, no, it was 2 AAA batteries. Yeah, so it was the transition from the Game Boy Classic to the Game Boy Pocket was huge because not only did you go from like a dumb, thick, like fatty machine to a really small one, and it had 2 AAA batteries, and it was awesome because you remember. I don't know if you remember this, but in advertisements you always see them like putting them in their back pocket, like
because
the jeans.
it was thin.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't be able to do that with the original one. It's like, geez.
No, the big one. I mean, the big one. I still took it around in like a bag, and then it was like a briefcase that I took
big
everywhere.
Boy.
And then you had to worry about all the batteries and everything because I mean, could you connect the first one to the wall?
You could, but it was like a huge AC adapter.
Yeah, so I don't think I took that one anywhere.
Yeah.
Because the other ones had a smaller one, and you could take it around and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was like, why would you want a handheld when you could just... I mean, if you were going to connect it to the wall, it's like that. It wasn't portable enough.
So Motodog says, I had the big yellow Game Boy. Nice, the Play It Loud version. Hell yeah. Finally killed it playing Pokemon Blue when it first came out. That's funny because we can definitely segue into that. The reason why the Game Boy is the Game Boy besides Tetris is because of Pokemon.
Yeah, because so I was kind of like into... I remember like, what was it? Balloon Kid?
Yeah, Balloon Kid.
Yeah. I love that you're like have your balloons, so you don't want things to come out and like grab you. And of course Tetris, I played that one a ton. And I'm trying to think of the other games apart from Pokemon, because like once I jumped into Pokemon in '98, was it?
Yeah, it was September of '98.
So it's like when Pokemon came out, I remember like I want to get this game. But I wasn't sure because I'm like, I'm not sure if I want an RPG game because I knew that they had played Final Fantasy games and stuff on the Nintendo
on the Super Nintendo
and on the Super Nintendo, and I'm just like, okay, well, I kind of want to get something like that. Maybe it's cool. It's got monsters and they're kind of animals and everything. And
little did you know.
Yeah, it's like I had no clue that it was going to be this popular because I remember at Target they had pre-orders for like red and blue, and that was it. So it's just like, okay, and I didn't jump on pre-orders. I don't think anybody really did. Most people were like, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
it was like Pocket Monsters. Like, what is this? And
the Pokemans.
It's like, what? Okay, whatever. And I bought red. I brought it home, and you guys wanted to take it away from me. Like every time I wanted to play it, I'm like, get away from my game. Yeah. I'm like, this is my game. We're not playing this together.
The Wolf says, I've always had a PS2. Yeah, the PS2s were fantastic consoles as well. But I want to go back to what you were saying about Pokemon. It's funny because every time back in like the late 90s when we always went to Target with our mother, she always bought us a video game if we played nice. My bros and I, we played nice, and we weren't like screaming or like wrestling with each other and stuff like that in Target. So she was like, if you guys settle down and be obedient, I'm going to get you guys a video game. And what's funny is we saw our sister with Pokemon, and we loved it off the bat. We're just like, we want to play that, but you're just like, no.
Oh, no, you guys could play it, but you couldn't save.
I know, it was like such torture. It was such torture.
It's like you can keep it on up until the batteries die. You can't save because I don't think it had multiple saves, did it?
No, it was only one save.
It was one save. Yeah. So I'm like, don't touch my Pokemon. Don't mess with my save file.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was it. And I played like all the way through that game. I binged through that game. I usually don't do that with like any games whatsoever. Yep. And I'm like, oh my God, this has changed the world to me of gaming. This is the type of games I like. And I've literally haven't stopped loving Pokemon since 1998. And so it's like I still have everything Pokemon.
And you have to understand, when Pokemon came out, it was in the late 90s, so the internet wasn't as fully fleshed out as how it is now. Yeah. So when it came into getting information, there was a lot of rumors that spread around, and people were like, oh, like you can do XYZ. Like I always remember hearing the big rumors where you can get Mew and it was under like a truck and you had to do this specific combination or something like that. And as a little kid, I'm like, oh my God, Mew, I want to get Mew. Never got him.
Nope. It was just funny because all this stuff started coming out with Pokemon, and then the Pokemon card game came out and all that. So I followed the Pokemon games, the Pokemon TV show, which was terrible. When I started watching it at first, I'm like, I'm a little too old to be watching this, and it wasn't good.
The Digimon
was really good, and during that time, there weren't any Digimon games because the Digimon games came out for the Wonder Swan.
Yeah, because it was owned by Bandai, so out of anything else, they were gonna buy. I mean, they sold Digimon games, but it was for the handheld that never came out in Japan called the Wonder Swan. But there was also PlayStation 1 games for it. But yes.
Yeah, but when we got a Wonder Swan, that was like way later.
Yeah, but I want to like because you have to understand at the late 90s there was like a huge war between handhelds where Game Boy, I mean, let's be real, always reigned supreme. No matter what. Sega had their Game Gear.
Yeah, we had that, but we the library for those games wasn't huge.
It wasn't huge for the fact is that there's just wasn't really a market for it because Nintendo was literally eating everything up handheld wise. And think about that, like at a time where there was no mobile gaming, no smartphone tablets or iPhones and stuff like that. That was the thing that people like brought out and played. you always had other consoles or other handhelds that were like a lot prettier looking than the Game Boy, but the Game Boy was the tried and true that always got things done. So,
so you're trying to talk about mobile gaming. So cell phones were coming out and trying to be cool, you know. Like, remember the Sidekick for T-Mobile and all that stuff?
Oh my God.
The phone that everybody was like... And eventually you take it back to T-Mobile because you broke the thing.
I always remember seeing like a commercial with Snoop Dogg using it, like flipping it. And I'm just like, so cool.
It's like, okay, like that's great. But then during that time, I think it was Nokia that came out with the N-Gage.
Yeah.
And that flopped horribly.
No, it was
because
horrible.
it was supposed to be a phone and it was supposed to be like a mini game console that you could have like really cool stuff. And during that same time was the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Well, it started off with the Neo Geo Pocket, and then like literally less than a year later, they're like, we're gonna get the color one.
Yeah, the color one came out, and I still have a Neo Geo Pocket, which was like awesome. I still like it.
Oh no! Well, the thing is, the Neo Geo Pocket, and it's like going for a little information side on it. The Neo Geo Pocket Color. When it comes into the retro market, is the D-pad is one of the best feeling D-pads on a handheld because you get that nice clicky like eight sections where you can go nice clicks. But not only that, very limited games. However, the games that they had were amazing. Like there's one called Capcom versus SNK Card Collector. It was a card collector where you can battle with each other, and that was ultimately the biggest one for Neo Geo Pocket Color. Yeah. There was Metal Slug as well, which...
I have Metal Slug. I had one of the fighting games, SNK versus... what's the other people? It's like SNK versus Capcom?
Capcom versus SNK, yeah.
Yeah, that one was actually really fun. There's a couple other games that I still have for it. It's a really solid little device, and it was a color screen, but it wasn't backlit.
Yeah.
So it was... still a little hard to see unless you had like full light. I had the non-backlit.
Yeah, there was a Neo Geo Pocket and then the color. You had the pocket. I mean, just a pocket.
The pocket.
The color,
it was colored sprites, but it wasn't like full color.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a weird thing.
The Wolf says, my family is an Xbox person. So before I had Xbox, I watched Digimon. Yeah. Okay. Hey. And it's crazy because the Xbox... to me, personally, the Xbox is synonymous with Halo. So I bet you if you play with the Xbox, you'd probably play Halo. And Halo 2 was, to me personally, arguably the best one. Although the first one is very, very solid.
Yeah, like, I think of Xbox like a tissue box.
And another interesting note about the Xbox is incredibly, incredibly popular in the Americas. However, if you actually go to Japan and if you see the actual sales for the Xbox, even now, like 1 month... you see the PlayStation 4 sold like 20,000 units. Mm-hmm. The Xbox, like 43.
Yeah, they don't really...
It's like, what?
Well, it's weird because in Japan...
the Wolf is like, did I hear Halo?
In Japan, you can tell that they love Sony. Oh, I mean, Sony's from Japan and everything.
Yeah,
so they were going to support more Sony devices. So the PlayStation has always reigned king over there. Mm-hmm. The PS Vita is still a big thing over there. So it's weird because stuff that maybe is discontinued here or not a big deal anymore, it's a big deal over there. Same thing comes down to their cell phones. A lot of them had Sony-based cell phones. Mm-hmm. Not as many iPods around, more of like Sony players. It's really strange when you go over there because it's a big difference, but it makes a lot of sense why that stuff was popular. Mm-hmm. But if we're going back to the gaming devices, like I stuck with all the handheld games while they stuck with more of the consoles.
Yeah.
So the only other console, like after the Super Nintendo, that I really, really stuck to, I kind of skipped the Nintendo 64, let them kind of have fun with that, and then I jumped into the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
so
the Dreamcast.
You guys really loved the 64, and the Dreamcast was fine, but I seemed to be playing it more than you guys did. So we had the Dreamcast connected onto one of the TVs, and then one of the other TVs had the 64. And while you guys were playing like Zelda, and I used to love playing Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, hey, hi, this is Ken Griffey Jr. Let's play Major League Baseball. I was thinking of Kobe Bryant's NBA courtside.
It's like, call me Jr.
Call me Jr.
I love that game. I don't know why. I just like really love baseball.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play that one and Beetle Racing.
Oh, Beetle Adventure Racing is an incredible game too. Yeah, the tracks were super long on that one too. That was awesome.
But that one was fun because we could play a lot of stuff together. And, I played on the Dreamcast, the one game... Evolutions.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started loving, like, playing games that you're just, like, grinding away at, what is it called?
It's like you get
a dungeon crawler, pretty much. Yeah.
It's a randomized dungeon crawler. So every time you enter the dungeon, like the dungeon changes. Yeah. So every time it's different. It's a bit of a different gameplay that not so many games use, but for what Evolution did, they actually did it right.
It was solid. It was a really good one.
By the way, Heather says, "Did I hear Zelda?"
No, we love Zelda.
You did hear Zelda. I've been playing Zelda since me personally.
Much.
Well,
Nintendo or no?
Yeah, no, we played it on the NES, the original classic one. I never played Zelda 2, which was for the NES as well. However, we did play, and to me, one of my favorite Zeldas of all time is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which is for the Super Nintendo.
Oh, that one got re-released on the 3DS.
Yeah, no,
as well, right?
Yeah, well,
was it 3DS or the?
It got released for the 3DS,
okay.
But it was called A Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. It was supposed to not be an actual remake, but it was supposed to be like influenced by A Link to the Past.
Okay. But, yeah, because that one was actually really fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
But I know you haven't played it. But the new one, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, is incredible. Guys,
and that's for the Switch.
That is for the Switch. If you haven't played Breath of the Wild, whatever you're doing after the stream, go and play it. It is one of the best games I have played in the past 5 years. If you love free roaming games, you're gonna die of happiness. It is incredible. So much to do and so much to see. You can never go wrong with Zelda, and especially that one.
No, yeah, those are always really good games.
But,
but they're not multiplayer, so that's why it's one of those you just watch somebody play and stuff. But during that time, when the Dreamcast was around, I played it, and then I saw that not a whole lot was happening with the Dreamcast. They kind of killed off that system pretty quick. Crazy Taxi was when we did play quite a bit.
Crazy Taxi. So Motodog99 says, I had a Dreamcast and remember them having the coolest memory cards ever. If I remember correctly, they look like mini chunky iPods.
Yeah, they did. And you could have a little virtual pet that lived in there, a Chaos, remember?
It was like we called it a Cheo. A Cheo.
It was from the game, what's it called? The one with Sonic.
Sonic Adventures?
Yeah, it was was it just Sonic Adventures?
Yeah, it was just called Sonic Adventures.
It was one of the Sonic Adventure games that you could take care of I guess it's called a Chaos, right?
No, it's C-H-A-O, a K-O, or a Cheo.
A Cheo. It's this little bubbly looking thing. And once you saved it, you could take the memory card with you, and then you could feed it like a virtual pet, a lot like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Which was really cool because, nobody else had cool saving little cartridges like that that had a screen. But they're also super expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a whole screen, it had its controller, it had everything. So the way that they designed it was actually really weird. it worked out okay, but in the long run, you could tell Sega didn't really realize how expensive all this stuff was. Yeah. But Sega also released a keyboard for it, remember?
Yeah.
For
it's funny because they released it for the game House of the Dead, but they made a Typing of the Dead, and the funny thing about it is if you guys ever played House of the Dead in the arcades, they have guns where you can shoot. Mm-hmm. But on the Dreamcast version with Typing of the Dead, they actually have big Dreamcasts on as backpacks, and you can have the actual keyboard so you could use exactly. I thought that was so funny. I was like, okay, cool, thanks, Sega.
But they used it on it was the first online gaming one that you could chat with people. Remember?
Phantasy Star
Online.
Phantasy Star Online. And yeah, that was another good one.
So you could connect your dial-up internet on the back. You could go on, and then you could type. We never did it because we never signed up for the internet to use it with that. But it was there. And that's where a character that I had way back when was based off of that game because everybody had a character and then this little floaty thing.
Yeah.
That would follow you around and
exactly.
give you information and stuff. So it worked out.
But it's funny because the Dreamcast came out in 1999. So once again, the internet wasn't as fleshed out as how it is now. Yeah. And when the PlayStation 2 came out, if I remember correctly, I want to say it was the year 2001. Unfortunately, that ultimately killed the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And you started seeing Dreamcasts that were
nothing.
$50 a pop. And
they were trying to get rid of them everywhere, and it was really sad because remember our Dreamcast, we had to spin it because sometimes it wouldn't work right.
Yeah, no,
or make noises, and you're just hating it on top.
Well, what's funny is I remember with the Dreamcast, I used a Game Shark. Which you add codes to it. Although, however, I didn't use it for cheating. I actually used it to bypass a region lock on the Dreamcast because. Unfortunately, if you bought an American Dreamcast, you couldn't play European or Japanese games. And at that time, they released Shenmue 2 Which, by the way, the
that game
Shenmue
was
series for the
good.
Dreamcast was incredible. Another
It
one
was
that if
so
you haven't
good.
played, you can actually play it on the Xbox, and I think it's compatible with the Xbox ones now. But they never released Shenmue 2, and I remember I bought a European version of Shenmue 2, and I used Game Shark. And the funny thing is, you had to open up the flap,
Oh, yeah.
and you had to put it on an American disc, and then start the Dreamcast,
Oh, I
and
forgot
then
about-
goes to the Game Shark menu. You press play on the Game
You have to
Shark,
grab the CD
and
out.
then once it's doing the change from the Game Shark to starting the game, you popped off the
you
original
yanked
disc
it
and put
out.
Shenmue, and it's like, oh, okay, region bypass.
Yeah. Because
So-
I forgot that they started doing that they were region locking a lot of stuff because
Yeah.
there was like NTSC and then PAL. You're
Exactly.
like, okay, like it's not gonna work. Because I remember that with like the first like DVDs and stuff, and you could watch it like on your computer. That's how you could get away with the region lock.
But let me ask you this: growing up, did you play any of the N64?
I just played what you guys had.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah,
But I never like sat down to like play it by myself because it was in your room.
yeah, because the N64, I think, out of all the systems, was probably the best when it came into multiplayer.
Yeah.
Moto was talking about GoldenEye, and GoldenEye was a really fantastic game. But there was also other games such as Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't know if you remember that
I
one.
played that one.
And there's F-Zero, which is another fantastic game.
Pokemon Stadium.
Pokemon Stadium
Yep.
was fantastic. And you know what's funny? Stream. If you know what's funny, look at some videos online of Pokemon Stadium. I don't know if you've played it or if you have. It's been a while, but the announcer is funny as hell. Literally, you can bring out any Pokemon, a Caterpie. He goes, "Oh, the Caterpie! Down on the word go!"
Oh no. You loved it. Pokemon Snap.
Oh, Pokemon Snap is amazing. But you know what's funny is I remember playing Pokemon Snap back in the day, and this was when Blockbuster was like popping. Everybody went to Blockbuster to rent games and stuff like that. But they
It's
had
funny how that much that dates us.
I know exactly.
Like
I'm like,
Blockbuster.
like Grandpa and Grandma
Yeah.
here. But I remember that they had kiosks for the Pokemon Snap, and you could actually bring in like I think it was your N64 cartridge, where
Probably,
you can
yeah.
actually print out stickers of the Pokemons you took, the pictures you took in
That
Pokemon
reminds
Snap.
me of the little printer for the Game Boy. The Game Boy printer?
Yeah,
Yeah, it had the
yeah,
camera
yeah.
and
And there was a
everything.
Game Boy camera too.
Yeah, and it was a little Game Boy camera.
But
and
it was
took,
kinda like the same premise.
It was sort of the same idea.
But yeah, Pokemon Snap was an incredible game. Unfortunately, like I actually played it like a couple of months ago, and I expected the game to be a lot longer, like 6
No,
hours.
it's really short.
But yeah, it was like 3-4 hours. It was like
Because you have to talk to them and lure them in.
yeah, no, it's funny because with Pokemon Snap, you had like this pellet thing that you can throw at them, and then you had apples. But in the first stage, you had a Pikachu where you can like lure him in with some apples.
You're like,
right
hey,
next.
Hey,
right
I want that photo.
You lured him in right next to a surfboard, and then he's all like, "Oh, hang 10, bro," and you're like, "Oh,
yeah.
gotta get the picture of surfing Pikachu."
No, what was it? No, the other one was Hey You Pikachu, right?
The-
The one that you
yeah.
had to talk to him all like
Hey.
sweet.
Hi.
But it's like, no.
Pikachu.
You only scream at the thing for it to like come at you. You're
Yeah.
just like, hey, hey, come over here. Because you're like talking to this like little microphone that was connected to the Nintendo 64 controller.
Exactly, I remember that. You had to get like a whole peripheral and everything for just
Yeah.
one game. It's just
Yeah.
like, I want to speak to Pikachu.
It was really weird on that one. That one was more of a gimmick than
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. Yeah, looking back at that one, you were like so stoked to play it, but now it's
No,
like,
it was like boring.
yeah.
It was funny because you guys were still on the Nintendo 64, and then that's what you guys like really stuck with. Super
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo, you're still stuck with because you love it so much that you've kept it. And I decided like, well, I'm gonna jump on the PlayStation.
Yep.
And that was the first console that I bought with like my own money and stuff. I was old enough to like, I'm gonna go to the store, I'm gonna buy it. So I went to Toys R Us, and rip and rip.
Rip and rip.
I love me my
Bless.
Toys R Us. But I went there and I'm like, I want to buy a PlayStation and I want to buy one game, of course, to go with it. And because remember we used to get demo discs?
Yeah.
That came with
Yeah,
stuff so
with
you
the
could try.
They came with the magazines. Yeah.
And sometimes when you bought a console, it's like, oh, here's like 5 games you can play like, I don't know, 10 minutes of.
Yeah.
And it's like, or like the
They
first
give you like
chapter
they give
of
you
a
like
game.
yeah, they give you like a first chapter, they give you like a 30-minute time limit
Yeah.
or something like that.
So I had some of those, which was fun. And I was like, ooh, cool. We get
Mm-hmm.
to test games out, which was nice. And I got Jurassic Park
Yeah.
because I wanted to be a dinosaur. I
It
was
was
like,
like
okay.
Jurassic Park: The Lost World or something
I think
like that.
it was.
Yeah.
It was. You get to be a little compy at
Yeah.
first, and you run.
A little
and it was-
compy. Wow.
Yeah, remember?
I
It was a
forgot
compy.
about that. Wow.
Yeah, it
that's
was like
funny.
it was a little compy, and I remember playing that, and I was like, "Oh my god, I have this thing!" It's like it's so cool. And then I was
By the way, the Wolf asks, what PlayStation? This is the PlayStation 1, the classic.
Yeah, 1. And I loved it. I was just like, wow, this is great. And I played it for a little bit, and then I bought a couple other furry-based games, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, it's got cute little animals on them. And then I really loved Monster Rancher.
Oh, Monster Rancher is fantastic.
So you'd have to grab CDs from places and throw them in there and try to grab a monster.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a really weird.
Monster Rancher, Monster Rancher was actually really good. It was very successful as well.
Yeah.
Moto Dog says, I think it's a shame they don't do the demo disc anymore. They don't.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because the way the industry...
I think it's just too expensive.
Probably.
Printing out
maybe. I want to say yeah. I mean, you got a good point there. But the thing is, nowadays, everything's just going to microtransactions and everything's going free to play. So it kind of defeats the purpose of try our game before you buy it. Because
see? First time I played Abe's Odyssey was on one of those demo discs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But see, now you can remember that. And it probably had like a time limit or something. But then now... you have the full game.
If you remember that, then you remember all the AOL Online CDs everywhere. Right?
Oh, God. America Online.
Or the floppies. So you have
700 hours free.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay. And then we didn't have internet, so you're like, oh, net zero. And your screen's this big? Because it's ads all around. So you're like, I'm going to scroll on this website right there. And your screen, you have like a 19-inch screen at the time. Like you're like, ooh, it's a really big CRT like screen. And then it's like net zero because we don't have any internet and we're just going to use this. And it was horrible. I remember that. Like, don't click any of the ads or it'll kill everything.
It's funny because I also remember as well with America Online that once the internet started getting a lot more fleshed out, like in the mid-2000s, like 2004, 2005, they were getting desperate. And I could see that in the disc because they were like, 3,000 hours free. It's like, you got all this extra goodies. It's so like, bad. Yeah.
It's like, nah. No, it's like I stuck with the PlayStation for a little bit, and I played a couple of like solid games on it, and then I got really bored of it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went back to continue playing my handheld games. So I've always gone back to Game Boy.
Yep.
Game Boy's always been like my thing to take everywhere. And then at that time, it was a Game Boy, I think it was Advance.
Yeah.
So I had Game Boy Advance, and I was in love with it. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I ended up buying like a special edition Pokemon, one from the Pokemon Center in New York and everything. I got that ordered as when eBay was new. Yeah. I was like, I need to have this thing with Suicune on it. And I was like,
that's when Crystal came out.
Yeah, it was. I was like obsessed with this. So I ended up passing the PlayStation to you guys because it just lived in my room, and I'm like, I'm not really playing.
So for the three of us, my brothers and I, we're all like, now we have the N64 and the PlayStation 1. So it was a good deal for us.
You had both, and I was like, look, I'll accept the loss that I bought it. I'm not playing it as much. And after that, I was like, I don't think I'm a big console gamer. I'm just not. So it just kind of stuck at that. And then I went to college, and I'm like, no, I really want a console game again. But I don't want a Sony console game. I don't want anything else. I really want to stick to Nintendo again. I love their handhelds, and I want to stick to the stuff that they have. I like party games that I can play with friends instead of just playing like the single player sort of thing. Yeah. So I ended up getting a GameCube. I loved my GameCube.
Oh, the GameCube was great.
I played my GameCube to death. That thing was amazing, and it took up no space. The weird little CDs that nothing fit in.
Yeah, it was like this small.
Yeah. But it was great, and it was a solid little device, and I played with that for years. I also played a lot of Pokemon on that.
You played Star Fox Adventures too. I did
play Star Fox, and I think Evolutions did come out on that one too, didn't it?
Yeah, it did
because I rebought it for that, and a couple other games that
Pikmin too.
That were great.
Yeah,
and of course like
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, any of those games that have been remade like a million times over, and the racing game, Mario Kart Racing.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart Double Dash.
It's a solid thing, and I gotta keep it. So.
Yep. And the reason why I know that it's Mario Kart Double Dash because my girlfriend always kicks my ass when it comes into that game. Like literally, she has a GameCube at her place, and she's like, "You want to play Mario Kart?" And I was like, "Sure." And then all of a sudden, I get destroyed.
Yeah. So I really liked that one. It was pretty solid.
Motodog99 asked, is there any games that you guys have played that have become timeless classics for you? Games that you've put hundreds of hours into? Motodog, first and foremost, you're asking some really nice questions, and I appreciate you for that. And I have one. Unless you want to start first, I can go with mine.
I was just going to say Persona. Since you just spent like 100 hours on that game.
No, Persona's a fantastic game, but I got another one that's very memorable to me. So, for me, I love the Super Nintendo. That's my baby. Then comes the N64.
I'm gonna say Donkey Kong Country.
Yep. Donkey Kong Country 2 is my favorite game. Timeless classic of all time. It came out in 1995, excuse me. And it is a game that I play with my brother Felipe all the time. We know it to the T. We speed run it. And it is amazing. So for me, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest will always be a timeless classic.
I mean, I like it. I just got the freeze one for the Switch.
Oh, yeah,
and it's super fun. I mean, I love all the Donkey Kong Country games. They're really...
Tropical Freeze.
They're solid games. I think they're really good. And
but for you,
I'd say
Pokemon.
It's Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Pokemon's the only game that I've spent like way too many hours that I don't admit to tell anybody.
But
it's too much.
But let me ask you this: out of all the Pokemons, what is the most memorable one for you?
It would probably have to be the first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
that one, and
classic.
then Pokemon
Gold and Silver.
No, Pikachu, because you could have the little character behind you.
Oh, okay.
So, and I loved it. I was like, oh my god, I can see the character.
And you could hear and it's like super mono audio.
It's just like, okay.
It's like,
I love
Happy
you too.
Pikachu.
But I'd say that's the one that I spent the most hours on. I can't think of any other game that I spent that much time on. Yeah. I think it was Pokemon. Because I love games that I can just take with me. And stick in my bag and then just leave. But no, I will say there's another one that was really close to it, and it was Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation 1.
I played it on the
SP. So you're talking about... Oh, you played on the SP?
The SP.
On the Game Boy Advance SP? Yep. So she's talking about Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and that is an amazing game. Mm-hmm. An amazing game. Yeah, you brought me back. Yeah, that was a great one.
SP is the game that I played the most while I was in college, when I had to wait for 3D renders, because when I was in college, the renders took forever, because this is many years ago.
Yeah.
And they would make us wait and watch our computer to make sure it wasn't going to crash. So you would have a little bit of idle time. So I would just whip out my SP, play a little bit of that. And I played hours and hours of that game until I beat that game.
Yep.
It was really good.
By the way, the Wolf says, I went away for a second, but do you still play GameCube? I
don't have one.
Yeah, you don't have one anymore. But like I said, my girlfriend, she still has a GameCube. So out of anything else, I still go over to her home when we play Mario Kart Double Dash, because that's the only game she's got on her GameCube. So that's all we play.
No, but there's so many good games that you could like talk forever about these games. And after the GameCube, I took like a kind of a break. Mm-hmm. And then my ex-husband had bought, of course, all the PlayStations again. And that kind of came back into the house. But I was never super into the PlayStations, like PlayStation 2 and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The only games I was really playing were like DDR. So I was using it as a way of losing weight, which had worked out actually really well. It was pretty awesome. And using anything that was like rhythm based and whatnot.
Exactly. Dance Revolution.
Exactly. So while my ex wanted to play a bunch of stuff that was racing, shoot 'em up, like horror, single player, all that stuff, which, I mean, I like watching people play a lot of the horror games, but I don't particularly care to play them myself, because I'd rather do the puzzle solving while not holding the controller, so I don't chuck it at the wall and get mad. But I predominantly played dance stuff on it.
So first, the Wolf says, I play Pikmin 2. Fantastic game. Mm-hmm. The first one to me is a lot more classic, but the second one is arguably better. No arguments there. Now, Azure Liminality says, while so many consoles are focusing on online play, Nintendo consoles has such a unique ability to get good friends together in a single room to play all together under the same roof.
I completely agree, and that is a reason why I have a Switch currently. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any other one. I mean, we have a PlayStation 4 here, but that's one that we bought like together. But I don't really use it. I just got it to have it here at work, just in case like there is a dance game I would like to play.
I know, right?
So, but we ended up sharing that one. But I predominantly stick to playing my the Switch at home, because I like right now I'm playing Mario Party because I like playing with like my boyfriend. We sit down, we have an hour to like, relax right before bed. We can pick it up, play a couple of games, and then just go to sleep.
Yep.
Because we play Mario Kart a ton that way too. So it's nice to play with friends.
So out of anything else, we're actually going to be ending the stream. However, I want to appreciate everybody that's asked us questions, that has been here for the stream. If it's not for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you once again for everybody in the stream that's following me. And if you haven't followed me yet, it's at Uwu. It's Jesse. And we also got at Latin Vixen.
So before I say goodbye, I am doing a giveaway of a Mixed Candy t-shirt. See, So Mixed Candy t-shirt. So we have a couple of different colors and stuff. The thing is it's pretty much the first person that DMs me at Latin Vixen on Twitter right now will get a t-shirt. Just tell me what size. And the colors that I currently have are blue, gray, and red. So just DM me. I got to pick one person this time. We're going to be doing more giveaways at every single stream that we do. So be sure to follow us every Thursday. We do apologize for how late we started this stream because of like little issues that we were having at the beginning. But we will be doing this again next Thursday. So if you guys have any fun topics, we can also continue talking about games because we kind of stopped it at a little bit, like kind of like halfway through, because we still have a lot more to talk about. So we'll probably do a second part of games for next time that we start doing this.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because we can continue talking about it, and you guys seem to really like games, so why not? So thank you again.
By the way, the next stream, we're actually doing a stream every Thursday at 7 p.m. So
yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern because we're in Florida. Mm-hmm. So every Thursday, just come over here to our YouTube channel. I will also post it on my Twitter at Latin Vixen. You will always see it there, especially if you lose the link. I will always post right before we are streaming. We always give people a couple of minutes to come in, and this time we gave people too many minutes because of stuff going on. But yeah, just pop in. Make sure to follow, and if you have any questions, just drop them down in my comment section in my YouTube videos or just on my Twitter. So thank you guys again. This was awesome. And I will see you guys next week.
Okay, bye.